Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As usual, I have Malam Sadiq with me. Assalamu alaikum, Malam.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Hussein. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. So today we're going to be looking at common mistakes in Quran recitation that people make. So in your experience, Malam, what are some of the most common mistakes that you've observed that people make while reciting the Quran?
All right, thank you very much for the question. So, first, I would like to explain how great the Quran is, because if the Quran is not great, we won't be talking about the mistakes, because the Quran is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then it is not meant to be subject to any form of alteration, no matter how little, whether it's an alteration as a result of mistake during recitation or any other alteration. So I'm going to highlight some of the mistakes that I observe people make when they recite the Quran. One of them is incorrect pronunciation. We non-Arabic speakers, due to the fact that Arabic is not our language, it's not our mother's tongue, so it might be difficult to pronounce some alphabets. So it is only going to be easy for the Arabians to pronounce all of the alphabets that Arabic has without having to make mistake in the pronunciation, even if some of them make mistake actually, but then it's going to be very easy for them to change and modify their tongue. But we are not Arabians, it might be difficult for us to pronounce. So while reciting the Quran, we might find some difficulties in pronouncing some alphabets, and this might result in a change of meaning. For example, so when you are reciting the Quran, it is required that you pronounce every alphabet correctly, because that is what Tajweed is all about, that you give every alphabet its right. So since the Jude has emphasized that you have to give every alphabet its right, then it is compulsory, it is mandatory on whoever is going to recite the Quran to pronounce every alphabet correctly. So a lot of persons do not know how to pronounce it due to the fact that maybe their tongue has been long twisted, that it might be difficult for them to modify it, to correct it. And then some people, they just find it so hard to pronounce. So one of the hardest alphabets to pronounce in the Arabic alphabet is Bod. A lot of persons do not know how to pronounce it because there are a lot of reactions that you have to feel, that you have to notice when pronouncing it. One of which is that your cheek has to bounce out when you pronounce bud, bud, bud. So a lot of persons do not know how to pronounce that. So if you're reciting the Quran and you're not pronouncing an alphabet well, so you've made a mistake. So mistake of qira'ah. One of the mistakes that they make also is that most people are always trying to run through their recitation when they're reciting the Quran. And this is always a result of their lack of confidence in their ability to recite the Quran. Some persons, they lack the confidence because they believe that when I recite slowly, my mistake is going to be detected. So they would want to quickly run through and read everything so that they won't hear their recitation. So Quran is meant to be recited in a gentle manner and slow manner, such that you're going to ponder upon the meanings, you're going to reflect upon the meanings of the Quran. So people make that mistake a lot of time. We can see them outside when you go to some ceremony, you see some alpha, and then you just said Quran, yeah, saying, well, Quran, okay, you don't hear anything again. The last thing you're going to hear is the last verse of the surah. So that's not good enough. So when you recite the Quran, you have to recite it clearly, such that whoever is listening to you will be able to like grab what you're reciting. So not just like you reciting and then you're hiding some words in your mouth and all of that. So another mistake that people make is lack of tarteel. So when I talk about lack of tarteel, it's kind of similar to what I mentioned earlier, but they are different. So there's a thin line between them. So the first one I was talking, the second one, the last one I talked about was running through recitation, and this is lack of tarteel. So tarteel, you have to be slow, not like it has to be in a slow and measured way. So in the first one, it has to be slow. But here it has to be in a slow and measured way, in such a way that, because Quran is meant to be recited with a beautiful voice. So if you're reciting the Quran with a beautiful voice, for you to beautify your voice in reciting the Quran, you have to recite it in a slow and measured way. For example, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So whoever is listening to the recitation, and when you get Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, person would know that, okay, this person has measured the pace at which is reciting the Quran. So that's what Tarteel is. So far, that's what I've been able to observe from the mistakes people make.
Before you can correct a mistake, you have to first be aware of it, that you're making this mistake, right? Some people are not. So what advice do you have to give to those people?
Well, my advice to those kind of person is just simple. It is when you don't know something, that's when you want to know it is not good to do it. So if you have an idea, if you have a knowledge about something, you would know that this thing is not good. So it is just a simple advice that I have for them. Learn how to recite the Quran. You don't just recite the Quran without learning how to recite it. Learn it. There are a lot of ways to learn how to recite the Quran, even if it is just learning how to recite it practically. You don't have to like go to meet a malam to learn the principles guiding the recitation. Just learn how to recite the Quran practically, because that was what was in existence in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They were just learning how to recite the Quran practically. So that's why even in Tajweed we have the practical Tajweed and the theoretical Tajweed. So just learn how to recite the Quran. If you learn how to recite it, then you will know that, okay, when you recite this way, you've made a mistake. So when you recite it this way, you've made a mistake. So it is knowledge that's going to guide you through. So that's when you would know that this is the right way and this is the wrong way. So if you don't know the right way, you're not going to go the wrong way. So you have to first be able to identify which is right and which is wrong. Then you would know that you're making a mistake when you make a mistake.
So let's talk resources now, Madam. Can you recommend or what resources can you recommend for individuals seeking to enhance their Quranic recitation skills?
We're no longer in the world whereby to seek knowledge you have to travel to a far country, you have to travel very far, because we know that some of Sahabas, some of the Tabi'in, some of the Islamic scholars, when they are looking for a particular knowledge, we know of Imam Bukhari that he has to travel to different kind of countries to look for just one hadith and all of that. So we're no longer in that world. We have everything at our fingertips. So if you want to get anything, you can just get it anywhere. So the same thing applies to learning how to recite the Quran. There are a lot of things that you can use to learn how to recite the Quran. So you might not necessarily sit down and say, yeah, I want to have a teacher, but although that's the best way, it is the best way is to have someone who is going to be a certified teacher. It's someone who has ijazah of the Quran to teach you the Quran. So, but there are different ways. One of them is having a digital or mobile app of the Quran recitation. So if you listen to recitation of the Quran often and often, it will help you. It will improve your recitation of the Quran. And the one that I mentioned earlier is having a certified teacher. So that one you can have it physically, you can have it online. So there are a lot of online platforms where you can learn the Quran. So one is Islam as a Service that we have here. So Islam as a Service, we offer service. We teach people how to recite the Quran perfectly the way it was being recited in the time Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So that's one of the best way to what they call it, to improve yourself in reciting the Quran. So you can have your malam teach you, whether virtually or physically, anyone. So there are a lot of people who don't have time to sit or to attend madaris and then learn the Quran. So you can learn it online. So it is just you using the available resources for you that you have with you to learn how to recite the Quran. So there are also many other resources. You can also get Tajweed manual and guide. So there are a lot of books that are written. There are a lot of Tajweed books that are written in English language. So you don't have to stress yourself that I don't understand the Arabic language to get access to this knowledge. Because before, the language barrier used to be the barrier between people and this knowledge. But now there are a lot of books that have been translated now. So you have access to them. So you don't have excuse. Just go online, you check them, you see a lot of Tajweed manuals, read them and then digest them. Inshallah, you'll be fine.
Okay, thank you very much. And you've also mentioned that people can as well subscribe or register with us at Islam as a Service. I think very soon we will be opening up registration portal for people to enroll to attend those classes. And the beauty here is that they can attend the classes at the comfort of their homes. So it's quite flexible. So I will try to put a link to that somewhere in the description of this video so they can check it out. So let's wrap up, Madam. With the rise of digital platforms and social media, how can they be effectively utilized, right, to educate and guide individuals in improving their recitation skills? I know you've touched on this slightly, but let's just elaborate a little bit more.
All right. I must say for a lot of youth or children or teenagers, social media must be like a medium or a medium of distraction to a lot of persons. But then I would say that these things are what you control with your hand. You are the one that control it. You have the remote to do whatever you want to do on this social media. So you define what you want your social media to be. So you can as well use your social media to learn a lot of things. But then it is one thing to learn things on social media, and it is one thing to be serious with it. So even if you're going to learn on social media, you have to first build the determination in yourself that this thing, I want to be serious with it. I want to learn this thing. I want to actually learn this thing. So you can utilize a lot of things. There are a lot of online platforms that you can learn Quran, how to recite the Quran. So all you just need to have is that determination that will keep on fueling your car in the journey. So you have to just have that determination that will keep on pushing you. So there are a lot of online platforms, like I said earlier. Islam as Service is one of the platforms, and there are other platforms too. So you can register with us, and then inshallah you'll be fine.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam. And just in addition to that, quickly, so I feel that technology just makes it easier for people to learn, and that so we can also put this to use when we're learning the Quran as well. Thank you very much, Madam, for your time today. All right, is where we're going to close out today. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.